I want to talk about the engagement strategies, the strategies that you can use to increase engagement and implementation, create a sense of community. And you can do that in Coaching Genie. Coaching Genie has everything you need to be able to do that. So there are actually 5 different things you can do, and I actually have 6. I got a bonus one that I forgot to include, but we have group contests, we have weekly check-ins, we have discussion forums, client journals, accountability groups, and assessment forms. So we've got 6 there. We've got 6 ways to really supercharge your group with engagement, implementation, and accountability. And of course, as a result of all of that, results hopefully for your clients. So let's start with the first one. Actually, I'm going to reverse them a little bit. So the first one is assessments. It is always a great idea to give your clients assessments when they first start your program, right? You give them, maybe it's a self-assessment, maybe it's an assessment that you read, with the purpose of understanding more about your clients. And then at the end, you give them another assessment or self-assessment or some kind of questionnaire that allows you to see how they've progressed. Most importantly, it allows them to see how they've progressed, right? And so now you're starting to have tangible transformation for your clients to see. And to me, I think it actually validates their investment, because look how far you've come. This is where you started, and now you are doing things differently, better, more productively, more efficiently. You have more peace, you have better health, whatever it is your program is all about. You're able to compare the before the program and after the program assessment results, whether it's data, more like numbers, numerical assessment, or it's something that, and it's an open-ended form where you ask people questions. And so how do you do that inside Coaching Genie? Well, I'm going to share my screen. We have a tool called My Forms, and you can actually create a self-assessment where when your client takes the assessment, they get to rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 5 in different areas. So you ask questions like, how would you rate yourself in the following areas, right? And I'll show you some of the things I've done. You have a multiple choice assessment or form, sort of like a quiz or a test. And then you have a simple information collection form, which can be used as an intake form and then as an exit form. Again, all of these forms are to collect information to show your clients how they're doing. So this is my example of a, let me see if I can actually show it to you. So this is the form I built. It's my new client intake form, and I asked their name, email, the basic information. And I just asked them, what are the current challenges of your business, how they have been affecting your life, check any of the items that you created or hosted in the past. I want to see what they've done. Kind of gives me an idea of their screenshot of where they are in their business. List all your products, how big is your mailing list. And then I asked them to check all the challenges or all the areas that they could use some help with. So that kind of gives me an idea of where they are in their business and how I can help them. This is an intake form. And so that's what I call a simple form. So you can see, normally I would give it to my client before, and at the end, I might give them another form or maybe, some kind of a follow-up form. And then this is the self-assessment. This is what it looks like when you create it. So I have an assessment called Simplicity Scale Assessment, and I ask people to complete this assessment on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is less true and 5 is more true. And then I just ask them different statements where they can rate themselves. My business hit a plateau. I need to start making more money. How true is this for you, right? And then clients can really identify themselves. So that's the self-assessment form. And what happens once they complete it, they get to see, I built in the scoring key. So if their score is anywhere between 0 and 33%, this is the text they will see. If they have a low score, that means they are doing really well. If they have a high score, that means they really need my help and they need to work on certain things. Okay, this is the scoring key you build. Okay, so that's the simplicity. I'm sorry, the self-assessment, and then we have the multiple choice. Well, that's pretty straightforward. That's just me asking them questions and kind of testing their knowledge on a subject. So I created a coaching program success quiz. I want to see how much my clients understand about coaching programs and what it takes to be successful. And as you're building your form, what you are asked to do is indicate the correct answer, right? So you just have to enter your question, enter the choices, multiple choices, and then select which answer is correct so that the system knows how to calculate the results. So every question has an indicator of the correct answer, right? So here, this is the correct answer. So these are the forms. Can you see how using forms, you can actually increase the engagement of during your program, and how people become more connected to your program. They become more connected and engaged throughout the process because they understand why they're in the program and what is possible for them to achieve. A well-designed assessment typically has questions or statements that inspire people and show them where they can go, and they can picture their transformation. So these are the forms, and that's number one strategy for increasing your engagement and a sense of community. The next thing that we use, and this is something that everybody seems to be using because it's part of coaching, are those weekly prep forms. In Coaching Genie, they're called weekly check-ins. So these are the forms that your clients should complete before the coaching call or before the group call to let you know how they're doing. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you so that you can see what that looks like and how to create it. This is super simple, and you create it during the creation of the group itself. So here it is. When I was creating this group, I was given an option to add weekly check-in forms. So here they are, check-in. And of course, you can later add them as well. But I always like to ask 3 questions. What is your biggest win, takeaway, or insight? What's your biggest question or challenge? And did you submit your homework in your journal? And this is usually where they say yes, and then I can go into their journal and check their homework, especially if it's a private client. And of course, when you ask the questions, make sure to enable the weekly check-ins so that your clients can actually access these, okay? Now, these check-in forms show up for you as a coach under the activity. So if I were to click on the weekly activity, I would be able to see who is actively using these forms, who is asking questions, submitting their wins, and so on, right? So this is kind of like what I see in my group. What I'm able to do, the way I use these is I would read them when I run my programs. I read what people are writing and I collect that data for multiple purposes. Number one, I want to know what people are struggling with so that I can build my agenda for the next coaching call. Number two, I want to know where they are reporting wins and insights because those are potentially testimonials to my program, right? And number three, it helps me gauge the level of engagement and activity. If people are not really using weekly check-ins, then I'm asking myself, is the material too hard? Is the homework too complex? Did I not make it clear enough how important it is that people use these weekly check-ins, because that's how they become accountable and that's how they get feedback from me. or a coach that runs my program, right? So weekly check-ins is definitely an engagement tool. The coolest part about it inside Coaching Genie is that, I'm going to go back to this one last year, is everybody can see how everyone else is doing, right? So I can see as a coach that these are like the most active clients, but so can everybody else in the group. And it helps them, kind of kicks their butt to do more, to do better, to take more massive action. This is a group coaching tool that allows people to really feel good about progressing and taking action. Some people just really need to see that they've completed something, like that check mark. So I'm not going to click on it, but if I were to click on any of these check marks, I would see what the client answered to my weekly prep questions. So that's number 2. Number 3 is the, let's see, journaling. So journaling is kind of a multi-purpose tool. I love using journaling in some of my programs, but not in others. First of all, journals can be used to submit homework so that clients in your programs, whether it's a one-on-one coaching program or it's a group program, so clients have a place where they can put their work and keep track of their work and can always go back to see what they've completed. It's also a place for you as the coach to check their homework if that's something that you promised or included in your offer. You don't have to do it for large groups. It actually can become very overwhelming. And so when I run larger groups, I basically say to people, the journal is there for you to submit your work, to save your work, to keep track of your progress. But I don't promise to check journals unless I have a coach who is helping me run my program. Journaling is also great for people in programs where journaling is part of their transformation process. For example, I have a program called Simplicity Experience. And in that program, it's very important that people write down their observations, what they are observing in their business, in their business models, their insights from doing exercises, from doing the homework. So I want to see what they are uncovering for themselves. And they want to compare their first journal entry to their last journal entry to see how they started thinking differently. So that's a very cool way to use journals. I'm sure you can find a use for journals in many different ways in your programs, but that's definitely an engagement tool. It's a tool that connects your clients to your coaching program between the coaching calls. So that's number 3. Let me show you what that looks like as far as inside Coaching Genie. So if I were to click on any of these journal icons, I would see how my clients are journaling. And so it grows and it builds. Every time somebody posts, I can see what they're posting. And the client can make their post public, or they can mark it private, and therefore only I, the coach, and them, the client, will be able to see it, right? And if I switch to the client screen so that you can see what the client will see, the journals will typically show up like this. So I can actually click here and add a new journal entry. I can make it public or private. And so that's kind of how I would do that. Okay, so that's journals. All right, I do see your questions coming in, so I'll be answering those in just a moment. The next strategy for engagement, that's number 4, is our group forum. So that's a new feature that we recently added. For people who don't like using Facebook groups or any kind of social media platforms, and they want to keep everything inside Coaching Genie, we now have group forums. Now, they don't automatically show up. You actually have to enable it. The reason for that is because maybe as a coach, you don't want to have a forum, because that's another thing for you to monitor. That's another thing for you to read and answer, right? So you may not want to do that, but in case you do, here's how it works. So I can go into the discussion forum right here, and right now it's disabled. So if I were to enable it, your clients would see a discussion icon in their dashboard, and they would be able to create new topics and have a conversation. When would you use a discussion forum? Probably when you leave your coaching call in the sense of like there's more to say, there's more to discuss. So I would like to say at the end, like, okay, well, we're out of time, but that's okay because you can take this conversation to the discussion forum. I will post something and you can share your thoughts, or somebody else in the group can post further questions or thoughts or insights, right? So it kind of helps extend the conversation from the coaching calls to more like an online format between the calls. Another wonderful engagement opportunity. But again, you don't need to enable, I'm going to disable it. You don't need to have a discussion forum, but that's why we used Facebook groups, right? Because we want to create a community. The challenge with Facebook groups is that it's very distracting. It's social media. People start posting memes, pictures, kind of like open-ended chat. And I'm sure they can do that even in the discussion forum here. But if, you know, when I run the group, I typically like to stay on point, on focus, no distractions. Let's focus in this space. Let's focus on the work at hand, right? Let's focus on your challenges and your questions and so on. But discussion forums are really great when you want to continue the conversation between the calls. Number 5 is group contests. So group contests are really cool because it motivates people who have a bit of a competitive personality. You can create small group contests, something that is very simply tracking their activity, and then reward them with prizes, and you get to choose the prizes: a free coaching session, a free access to another product, a free ticket to a live or virtual event, a $25 gift card to Amazon, whatever you want it to be, right? So let's take a look at how group contests work. So here we are in this group. If I wanted to make it interesting and more exciting for the group members of this group we're running right now, I would click on members. Actually, let me do that in the old group. I would click on members, and then I would click on group contests. And here I get to create a new contest. I could call the contest implementation contest for spring, whatever you want to call it. I would indicate when the contest begins, let's say on Monday, when it ends. I would go further. Okay. Let's say it begins on June 1st and it ends on June 14th, 15th. Okay, so it's a 2-week contest. I want to see how much action people can take in my group. And then I decide what I want to track. So I want to track all the actions. Okay, and here I can decide how many points to assign to each action. So I believe that the most important action people can take is really to watch the modules, because that's where the gold of my program lies, is I want to make sure people watch the module. So I'm going to assign 3 points. Weekly check-ins are important and they're helpful. So I'm going to assign maybe 1 point to each weekly check-in. Journal entries is where my clients usually submit homework. So I'm going to give it a 2 point each. And then comments for other people, whether they're commenting on journal entries, weekly check-ins, because people can comment in the group. So here we go. We have all these points. So if somebody, takes action constantly and consistently, they're going to be at the top of the leaderboard. And so once I save this contest, then clients in my group can join the contest and their names will appear on the leaderboard. We have a more detailed tutorial on how to track and see the leaderboard. It's super simple, just a very basic implementation contest. Yeah, you get to choose leaders of the group. Okay, I'm going to cancel, so I'm not going to create it, just to show you. And the last thing, and by the way, you can create multiple contests throughout the program. You can create one kind of like kickstart contest. Let's see how many people actually complete the modules in the first 2 weeks. And then you can have a module for submitting their workbooks or homework. That's going to be another module, another contest. Modules are designed to increase implementation, right? And so the last thing is accountability groups. Because when you have accountability partners in any coaching program, you are having more fun, you complete more tasks and more actions. You have somebody that you can get feedback from, and all the pressure is not on you, the coach, right? So I think it's super important for you as a coach to connect people as much as possible. Unfortunately, it's extremely chaotic when you're just telling people, hey, go find an accountability partner, post something in a Facebook group about yourself. I've been in groups like that and it's extremely chaotic. And so what we've done with Coaching Genie is we created a collaboration feature. So let me show you how you do that. We do have a detailed tutorial, but I'm going to give you like the basic version of how to do this. So in every group, there is a menu, the delivery menu, and right here, there's a collaboration feature. So you can go into the collaboration. So here's the collaboration. And the cool part about the collaboration feature is that you can set it to invite or you can set it to assign. The difference is that when you set it to invite mode, then group members can invite each other. They can read about each other's profiles. They can learn about each member of the group. They can see what time zone each member is on and then invite that member, and the other member can accept it or not, okay? I can also switch it to assign, where I get to assign partners in my group, in my groups, okay? And so that opportunity becomes really important when you don't want to be the one managing the accountability partnerships. You can even have more than one accountability partner. For example, if I were to look through these, I could see that each of these people has an accountability partner, one or more, right? There's no limit. And so you can enable it or you can disable it. That depends on whether you want to encourage your people to partner up in collaboration. So those are the 6 ways to increase your community sense of community and engagement and implementation level. Assessments forms, weekly prep forms, journaling, group forum, group contest, and accountability groups. Those are the couple of or 6 strategies that you can use to really make the most out of Coaching Genie. If you build all 6 of those into your coaching program, your program is going to be so valuable to people, and they're going to be so fully engaged and immersed in the program that the whole coaching experience is going to go beyond just the weekly coaching calls. As sometimes, you know, I would run my programs every week, a coaching call, and then see you next week, and that was the program, right? So this gives you opportunities to really stay connected with your clients. The goal is for you to not only increase engagement and sense of community, but also for your clients to really feel like this program is so much more than just weekly coaching calls, where they feel supported, connected, supported and connected. Because when clients join your coaching program, that's what they want to know. Will you be there for me? Will other group members be there for me, right? They want to know all this stuff as a reassurance. So you can actually market your program by saying, this is not your typical weekly coaching call kind of program. You get a full immersion experience when you join my program, when you work with us as a group. And so people experience this whole environment of support, acknowledgement. They are feeling seen and heard and supported by you and other members. And it also takes pressure off of you to provide all the value, right? Where you have to answer all the questions. You have to provide feedback. You're the only one who provides value. Using Coaching Genie allows you to rely on the technology to provide value, because when clients answer assessments, they are already starting to be coached. when they are completing their weekly check-ins, they are already feeling progress. That's just how it works.
Once you start using Coaching Genie, you'll wonder how you've ever delivered your coaching without it. Are you ready to get started? Because you know, the sooner you start, the sooner you can scale and automate your coaching programs. So you can go do this.